You're now on candid camera.
Ooh.
It's not that candid.
Hello.
Pretty open.
We're excited to be here.
All right.
That's just nuts. That's terrible.
The bee, you will have to get used to the bee puns if you want to do anything beekeeping.
Yeah, you better be honest with us, Dad.
It's gonna get worse, isn't it?
Oh, it's gonna
I
get
love
much worse. Don't worry.
So it took off the insulation because we're going to be moving stuff.
Fabulous.
Try not to get too close to the front of the bees because it tends to annoy them.
That makes sense. I'm annoyed when people
It's a lot louder right in the front. I'm surprised when I went, well, it's loud right there.
Yeah, also right now,
The sound of it.
you're watching what are called orientation flights. So,
Really?
yeah.
So what is that?
So when bees hatch, when they first come out and start working, they stay inside the hive. And their first time out flying around, they don't know where they are. So they fly circles around the front of the hive in order to get their bearings and orient themselves.
That's awesome.
And then they take off, huh?
And then they take off.
How do they find their way back?
Do you want the technical answer?
Yes.
Yes.
So they actually, they have multifaceted eyes like most insects, and they track the sun in the sky.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, seriously. So when you see them do the waggle dance, we've decoded it. Like seriously, scientists have done this. And they're waggling in the relative direction of the sun to where the resources are that they're trying to share with the rest of the hive.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
they can orient it. Okay, it's that.
Yeah.
I see the sun.
So-
I gotta go that way.
The direction on the frame is the direction horizontally on the earth relative to the sun. And then the distance that they waggle is how far away the resources are.
Okay, so I saw a bee do this not that long ago, sitting on on the wall of a house, and it was doing the little. And we were like, why is he dancing?
Probably cleaning herself.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Another fun fact, all the bees you see here are female. You might see a drone fly in and out. Drones are the only male bees.
Do they look different?
They're big and they're louder. They're higher pitched flight sound, and their sole purpose is to mate and die. They literally explode in the act of mating. They do.
Now, so compared to the queen, are the drones bigger or smaller?
Fatter.
Fatter, okay. And she's longer.
And she's longer. So we'll be able to point those out here in just a minute.
Do you have one queen for each hive or one queen total?
One queen for each hive. If there's more than one queen, they will do epic battle to see who rules the nest.
Who belongs, huh?
I forgot about it. There's a flat thing over there. Leaning on the stone. That flat thing. Bring it on over. This is a feeder. So you fill it with sugar water, and the bees come up and they eat all the sugar water. They take it down into the hive. And they've been busy. And this is just to keep from getting honey all over my thing.
Okay.
So we're gonna take this off. I think I dropped one of my queen cages. So if you see that laying around.
What is it? I don't even know what to expect, but oh,
Is that what that clip is?
Yeah, the hair clip. That's a queen cage.
so you pick her up with it and put
Yep.
her in there?
And
It all glues itself shut with honey, I'm sure.
no, it's propolis. So the bees collect tree sap, asphalt, you name it, anything sticky, and they make propolis with it and seal the hive up.
That's crazy cool.
We do that on purpose.
I'm just going to set that right there. And these are frame holders. They make my job easier, so I'm not setting frames on the ground.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you pull them So the whole point of today is to do what?
Ah, yeah, goals. So this colony has been trying to supersede their queen.
What do you mean by that?
Like
replace her?
Yeah, the queen's sole purpose is to lay eggs.
Yes.
And if she doesn't do a good job of that, if the hive thinks that she's not doing a good enough job, they will raise a new queen and
try to replace her.
And then try to replace her.
Look at that, they're making the honeycomb.
Yeah, so they're drawing the comb out here larger for whatever reason. I guess they've decided they have space and want to. These are just worker bees. They're dropping in whatever resources they have, probably nectar from flowers, and depositing it in the cells. There will be other bees that will be fanning and moving air through the hive that will evaporate the nectar and dehydrate it. There's a drone right here.
Oh, hello.
Oh, yeah, look at him. Okay.
You can see he's big and fat, wide-bodied. They'll evaporate the nectar, and when it reaches below about 18% water content, that's when it becomes honey, and they will cap the cell off like these.
Wow. So those look, this looks like a little bit less organized. This is just kind of like closed, but now they're putting this like comb on top of it.
So when I put this frame in, this portion was already capped.
Okay.
And they are expanding where it wasn't capped because they want to. So I don't see the queen on this frame. Did everybody get a good look at the drone?
Right there.
That big fat guy. There's a couple of them on this frame.
Oh yeah, there's another one right there.
Oh, they are big. What are these ones doing? Are they spitting?
Yep. They are throwing up and making honey.
That's awesome. That's exactly what we want them to do, so. That little tool you have right there, that's really...
This is called a hive tool, and they come in different shapes and designs. This is the one that came with these hives, and you pry things apart with this end, you leverage them with this end, and it goes in a pocket on your bee suit.
That's beautiful.
I've seen some beekeepers have really cool beekeeping belts, tool belts. That's a bit too expensive for me right now. This is an exciting frame. Let's look for the queen first.
Do you guys want to come around over here? I'm kind of standing right here. Do you want to... Oh, there's a bee on his leg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about her.
Just chilling around, poking around.
Look, they have a little bit of comb.
Does he have any nectar
Yep.
on him? No.
So what are these like fat? What is that?
So this is a really good frame to show you. This is all brood, which is baby bees.
No.
Yep. If you look real close, and it's hard to tell with the yellow foundation, but if you look real close around the edges here, you can see these little white grain of rice looking things. And those are eggs. Do you guys see them in there?
I don't. Where are you
Where are
seeing
we
them?
looking?
Right here, there's some. And just
you look first, bud.
try to get the light down in there.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, yeah, they look like little larvae. Okay, I see them.
So there's larvae
Right
along the edge, and if you
Oh, that's
move
what that
past
is.
the larva, there's little tiny grains of rice
So right
eggs.
on the so farther away, the little white things are like little teeny specks, like right in.
Little teeny specks.
Wait, can you bring it over in my angle a little bit?
Yeah.
They're like,
So right in here.
Oh, little tiny things.
Yeah, little white
Yeah.
things. So those are baby.
Those are the eggs.
Wow.
They hatch in about 3 days and become larvae, and the bees then feed them what's called royal jelly. Nurse bees secrete it after eating pollen and nectar, and it's kind of white gooey stuff that you can see hanging out around the larva, and it's a white soup.
Yeah.
So what?
And the larvae eat that, and then, sorry, I'll get
No,
to the,
go ahead,
hold
keep
that
going.
question. They eat it, and then when they reach a certain stage of development, they cover the cell with a capping of wax.
Okay, that's what I was asking about. Yeah.
And that's when, they go through your typical insect stages of, larva, pupa, and then adult.
Yes.
And when they pupate is inside the cells with the capping on them.
And do they have to eat their way out, or does it bees help them?
Yes, they will start chewing their way out and other bees will come along and help them out. These flat cells are worker cells, and these domed ones are drone cells.
Oh, so there's like, you can tell what kind of bee is inside based on
Right.
the
So
shape. That's so cool.
And there's a lot on this frame, so it's a really good learning frame. This right here, do you see this cup?
Yeah.
That is called a queen cup. And if there's an egg inside, and I don't see one, then it becomes a queen cell, and they start extending the wax down, and they'll raise a new queen in that cell. And they look like a peanut, about that long.
That's so cool. They're very enthusiastic. Look at them go.
Oh, busy as a bee is a thing.
I mean, it makes sense now that I'm looking at it happen in front of me.
Yeah, so
Look at these things.
They just.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Oh my gosh. They're loud.
they are loud. They've detected that their hive is open and not sure what to do about it. Do we still have any smoke left? Nope. The smoke, they communicate not just by waggle dance, but also by pheromone. Okay, this is a black frame, black foundation, so you can see the eggs a lot easier.
Oh yeah, right there.
Let me stick my head over here. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. That's so cool. Dad, do you see that?
I don't have a bad
Here.
Oh, yep. All the little suckers. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the
The
what of
domes.
them, yeah,
The
the
drones.
drones.
Yep. That's usually a good sign this time of year, because that means that the hive is healthy and they're looking to reproduce bees.
Yep,
Make
promote
bee
growth.
babies. So when they lay the egg, at what point do the bees know what kind of bee it's going to be?
They decide what kind of bee it's going to be
By
Nuh-uh.
how they feed it.
by how they feed it or the size of the cell.
Yeah.
So, you know, when they want to raise drones, they will make a cell that is bigger to support the size of a drone. It'll be larger in diameter. And if they want to make a queen, they make a queen cup like that one right there. And the whole colony just decides on their own what they want to do.
That's so fascinating. So even like the gender of the bee is decided at that point? Like, how does that even work?
So based on the size of the cell, the queen, if we find her, we might see her laying. She'll stick her head down a cell to basically measure the size of it, and then she'll lay an egg in it. And if it's the size for a drone cell, she will lay a drone egg.
She gets to pick.
The colony picks. She just lays whatever the size cell it is.
When she decides, oh, okay, this is the one.
That's
you need to
that. This cell is for this thing. Then I'll accommodate that.
So you were asking what the purpose of our inspection is today. This colony has been trying to supersede their queen. And so I want to make sure that they have a healthy queen. And we've already confirmed that because we see eggs. If there are eggs, then there is a laying queen.
What is this little that?
That is a drone cell that came uncapped when I removed this frame.
So will they go fix it?
They'll either fix it or remove the pupa and toss it out the front door.
Ah.
And you can see they're a little more anxious now. So this would be a good time to smoke them, but the smoker's dead.
You want me to light it up?
Yeah.
If you want to just open it up and relight it. If there's good pine needles in there, then just light those and spray it once in the hive. You hold it right where you're holding it. And I still don't see the queen.
You have to turn the knob for gas, or is it just automatically push the button?
You turn it to adjust it. You don't need it too high. Just pull the trigger.
Oh yeah.
And
that was it. It's on.
yep, puff it a little and then bring it over here. And just puff it a good one right into the hive. Don't get too close, just like that.
And so you were saying something about pheromones?
Right, so they communicate by pheromones, which is smell. And the smoke covers up the alarm pheromone. So if a bee gets alerted, like, hey, there's a problem, something's trying to eat our honey, she will excrete alarm pheromones. And
Is there any eggs on that one?
there are eggs. There's also, I'm looking for the queen and I don't see her. For whatever reason, they don't like this particular queen that came with the package. And so this is a queen cell.
Oh!
And it's capped, so there's a queen larva in there.
Wow.
And
Dad, come back around, sorry.
No, it's okay. I see. That's pretty cool.
yeah. And you see they've cut down the comb around it to make sure there's room for it to grow.
Yeah.
So does the queen lay the egg of the queen that will supersede her?
Yep.
That's so fascinating.
She doesn't really have a choice.
She just is like, she just exists to make babies.
Because she lays the egg and then don't they feed it a special jelly so that it will turn into a queen?
So part of it is what they feed her. They used to believe that it was just the royal jelly that they would feed the queen. But they've actually determined that it, they feed everything royal jelly. And the queen is determined by subtracting pollen. If I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that.
Totally quoting.
I might have to look that one up again just to make sure I'm doing it right. But I don't see the queen.
She's hiding.
She is probably hiding because they want to supersede her. She's
Look at these guys over here just buzzing their flapping their wings on where he's pulled them out. Look at them
Yep.
standing there just
that's fanning, and they're doing it either to ventilate the hive or to spread pheromones. In this case, it's not an alarm pheromone because they're not like attacking us. But they're probably, hey, our hive is open. Everybody got to come home and fix it.
Yeah.
So
You've got one drone right here. He's just hanging out.
yeah, well, I'll give him a ride home.
There he goes. He went away. I like the queen cell a lot. That's so pretty.
And this is just empty foundation. They haven't drawn comb on it. You can see that they're starting to draw comb.
yeah.
They're kind of taking their little time.
Yep. And one of the things that I want to do is, if I can find the queen, is cage her and make sure that she goes into the bottom box and put a queen excluder on so she stays down there. And then we can focus on filling this box with honey for winter.
So, are these boxes different hives? The one on top and the one on the bottom?
No, so this is one hive, and you have boxes come in 3 sizes: deep, medium, and shallow. These are both deeps. A medium is just a little over half as deep as this, and a shallow is a little under half as deep. And you hardly ever see beekeepers using shallow boxes, but
I guess if you only want enough for just yourself, maybe that's what you would use.
yeah, there are use cases for it. The biggest reason is that if you've got a box full of honey, this box full of honey will weigh about 60 to 70 pounds. A medium will weigh about 40 pounds full of honey. So it saves your back a little bit.
Okay.
And typically you have a brood chamber, in this case 2 deeps for a brood chamber, which is what the hobbyists recommend. I'm thinking of cutting it down to just wintering in one deep just to make it easier on my spring startup. But there are complications with that. You got to make sure they have enough food. You may have to supplement their food over the winter. However, right now I've got 2 deeps for a brood chamber, and then a typical beekeeper will put a queen excluder on, and then put usually mediums for what are called supers, where they just store honey, and that's what they'll harvest. They aren't doing a whole lot with these frames at all right now. And we can force them to, actually, by what's called checkerboarding, which is rearranging the frames so that there's a frame here that's got stuff on it and a frame here that's got stuff on it, and that'll encourage them to build this one up. And it's probably okay to do that. If it's too cold out, then you don't want to do that.
Where the heck is the queen?
Probably in the lower box. Either that or we missed her. There's also a possibility that they've already killed her. However, I doubt that because we have eggs. So,
Probably around somewhere.
yeah, 2 weeks ago, I discovered that in my previous inspection, and viewers of my channel will notice I put a little note in there about I made a mistake by not inspecting the top box. And I missed 2 queen cells. One of them was hatching. One of them had already hatched. And so there was a new queen coming out of her cell while I was looking at it 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Last week it was raining, so I wasn't able to get in there and do anything else other than open it up and look at a frame, and I did confirm that there are eggs and larvae. So because eggs take 3 days to hatch, if there are young larvae, then the queen was laying 3 to 4 days ago. If there's larvae of all ages, the queen was laying between 3 and 7 days ago. Capped brood, she's been laying for the last 14 to 21 days. And so there were eggs, there were young larvae. That means that she won the combat between the new queens. And so she's been laying.
Wow.
And there are still eggs and larvae, which means she's still healthy and still laying and still in charge. But I want to actually find her
So that's what this
just
is.
to make sure.
This is the queen.
That is called a bee escape.
Oh, okay.
And that's what you use to get the bees out of your honey supers before you pull the honey supers off the hive.
So, what? Oh, that bee is dead. How long do they live?
Worker bees in the summer right now will live about 6 weeks. And I'm gonna put this right on top of that.
Okay, so I'll move these out of the way.
Popped it right off. You want more smoke?
And we will want more smoke at this end. You may need to pull out some more pine needles to stoke it. All things considered, we can probably leave the hive as it is right now. But if I can find the queen, then I know they've got a good queen, and I can tear out that one queen cell. Oh, hey, something set him off. Yeah.
Well, they start buzzing, didn't they?
Yep. Whole bunch of them, just a wave of them just came right out.
Did you get one? He got you?
Oh, yeah.
Through your sock?
Yep.
Whew.
So that's probably enough smoke.
That hurt.
They'll calm down here in a moment.
We're gonna find out if you're allergic to bees. If your throat starts to swell up or something.
What I recommend, if you want to go inside above the refrigerator, there's a medicine cabinet. I've got some antihistamines up there.
Do you want some antihistamines, Dad?
You will probably want some antihistamines. I recommend 2 of the, whatchamacallit. The one and then 1 of the other.
you in a second.
Yeah, you can just go right upstairs on the deck. Above the refrigerator.
Go up the deck, Dad.
Yep. Yeah, they're not happy right now.
Do the bees ever recognize you?
Science has proven that bees can recognize people. Whether they actually pay attention to or care who their beekeeper is, it's a whole other thing entirely.
Oh, there's another queen cell.
There is another queen cell.
It does look like a peanut.
So they are really dead set on superseding this queen. But so far she's been victorious.
There's a lot of bees.
Look at their little yellow legs. Look at that.
Yeah, so that's pollen. And they have little hairs on their back legs. And they're called pollen baskets. Not really baskets, they're just hairs.
Yeah.
But pollen, with a little bit of nectar to make it wet and sticky, sticks to those hairs. And they collect pollen for the protein, nectar for the sugar. And this is old comb, which is why it's darker in color. It's been used before. And you can see they've calmed down. They're like, oh, hey.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
He's not gonna kill us or wreck the whole hive.
Not sure what set them off, but something did. There's larva.
There's more the male cells on the other side. Like,
Yeah, drone cells. There she is. We found her. So
where is she?
right here. And you can see there used to be a white paint mark on her back. And we'll just pick her right up.
Wow.
I have been using a different queen cage for a while, and finally got some of those this week because those are so much easier.
Can I pick it up?
Yeah,
Oh, there's bees on it.
yeah. So they smell the queen's pheromone and will be attracted to her to make sure that she's fed and taken care of and groomed.
Just trying to get out.
Of course. Theoretically, the space between those blocks is too small for her to fit through.
Theoretically.
Yeah, but those are the Chinesium version, so who knows?
I don't think she'll be.
And everything else on here looks all right.
How often do you have to inspect the hive? Or like, how often do you like to inspect the hive?
Depends on what your goals are as a beekeeper. If you just want to have bees, you don't really have to inspect at all. If you are trying to maximize honey production, then there are a couple of things you want to do. You want to prevent swarming, and you want to make so that you don't lose the bees that swarm.
What do you mean by prevent swarming?
So a swarm is when the colony reproduces, and your dad's going to hate that he's missing this. But basically what will happen when they swarm is they've detected that they've run out of room, or that it's just time to reproduce in the spring, and the existing queen will leave with half the colony. And
Create another colony.
and they'll create another colony. Well, the remaining bees will raise a new queen.
Wow. What the heck?
And yeah, so that's swarming. And if you want to prevent swarming, then you've got to make sure they have enough room to continue expanding. And during swarm season, which is kind of right now where we are, you want to go in and make sure that you inspect every single brood frame thoroughly, knock down any queen cups you find, destroy any queen cells, because if one gets through, then there's a good chance they'll swarm. And there are eggs on this frame. One of the things I'm looking for right now is just to make sure that we don't have another queen running around the hive.
So if they swarm and go to create another hive, if you have another hive available, will they go there or will they just go somewhere else?
Maybe. A common thing for beekeepers to do, and that's why I have those boxes up there sitting on the side of the deck. And I don't think my camera can see them. Whoa! But those are 2 medium boxes that I have stacked up right now as a swarm trap. So if my colony decides to swarm while I'm not watching, or if another feral colony nearby decides to swarm, there's a chance they'll go in there. And you can bait it with bee attractant pheromone stuff you can buy, or with lemongrass oil. And they'll smell that and decide, this smells like a good bee home. And go and be a bee home. It's not a 100% guarantee.
But you can increase your chances.
But you can increase your chances. Where's that smoker?
And it's already out again.
Yep. So you can pack this thing full of pine needles and it lasts longer. But
I wasn't sure what would be like appropriate, so I didn't.
Whew, he had this thing on high.
Hi, Dad. You okay? It hurt like a bee sting? Scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, I think there's a good correlation between how a bee sting feels and how you feel a couple of hours after getting your COVID vaccine.
After your what?
Your COVID vaccine.
Oh.
Dad, we found the queen.
You did?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, crap, I didn't throw my clothes.
Probably go get those. Don't squish the bee.
You can just like kind of pick up these with your bare hands, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to be like really good with them though.
You got to be gentle. You got to move slow. Different bees have different temperaments. So Buckfast are probably one of the better bee brands, I guess. And they're just like these, just they've been inbred with particular genetics that make them really calm and easy to work with. So if you've got Buckfast bees, you can get in there and do your, you can do a whole 100 hive apiary without a veil, without gloves, just in a t-shirt and shorts.
Wow. Because they're just calm like that.
Because they've been bred to be calm. These bees have been bred to be mite resistant. And they come out of Texas, so they actually have, oh look, somebody stung me. They actually have Africanized genetics in them too. Africanized bees, there's this whole scary thing about killer bees. It's all a bunch of bunk. They do tend to be a little bit more sassy, but yeah, that's probably why these bees are being as temperamental as they are.
A little bit sassy.
A little bit sassy.
I love Dad because he's so sassy. Dad, come over here.
So they're packing a lot of honey in down here because it's what's available while the queen's laying above. And I'd rather have the honey in the top box. But I suppose it doesn't matter too much where they put it as long as they've got it for winter.
As long as they have some, right?
Yep. So bees make honey and store it as just an instinct to give themselves food over winter.
Because they eat other stuff, right? Like, so okay, how do bees eat? I guess is my question.
So larvae will eat the royal jelly, and you know, that's pollen, that's nectar, that's, you know, all the enzymes excreted by the nurse bees that make it. And then adult bees generally eat just nectar as they're out foraging. Adult bees in the hive will eat the nectar that the foragers bring in.
Dad, on some of them you can see their little fuzzy legs covered in
Yeah.
pollen. You notice that?
So what I think I'll do is skip the queen excluder between these boxes and just let them do whatever they want down here. These frames are all looking really good, full of honey. There's some brood in there, but I'm not too worried about it. And the top box is almost all brood. So they're working hard, they're doing their job. And maybe in another week or so, if they draw out those three in this one empty frame, then I can start putting on a honey super. Probably 2 to 3 weeks.
So what is that?
That's where he'll take and that's where he'll harvest from.
Yeah.
This is just so they can have food for the winter.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So Dad, we were also talking about swarming, which is when the hive gets too big
Yeah.
and they break off. So he has boxes up there.
Oh yeah.
They're like potential hives, and you can attract bees with like bee pheromones, or what did you say, lemongrass?
Lemongrass oil.
Lemongrass oil. And so if a hive breaks off because they decide they're too big or whatever, they'll take one of the queens will leave with half the hive, and that potentially will attract them.
Oh.
Like, yeah, this is
So you won't lose your bees that way. How can you tell when they're starting to swarm?
You'll see a lot of swarm cells, which are queen cups towards the bottom of a frame. And when they start laying eggs in those, typically, they'll make the cells and just leave them empty. But when they decide they want to swarm, then the colony will push the queen over there and say, hey, lay in here. And she'll lay her eggs and... Oh, did not want to do that. Oh, it moved too fast and jumped on me. And that's how you squish bees.
No! We don't want it.
We don't want to do that. Squished bees can set off the bees and make the hive angry, and that's, the smell of a squished bee is an alarm.
Something bad has happened.
Yeah, and you can see I am checkerboarding this frame in here, because this one is full of honey, this one is full of honey with a little bit of brood on it. I'm going to put this one in here to try and encourage them to draw it out. And if they do not, then there's a chance they just don't like the plastic foundation. Which is a thing. Sometimes that happens. Yep. And if that's the case, then you can come in, you can try to re-wax the foundation, you can try spraying it with sugar water to encourage them to work on it.
I too also am encouraged by being sprayed with sugar water. So where are you putting the queen?
Oh. So right now, I put her in the cage to protect her. So while I'm moving these frames around, there's a chance that I'm gonna roll a bee between the two frames or crush one. And the last bee that I want to crush is the queen. So I put her in the cage, and that keeps her from getting crushed by me.
So how come you didn't crush the queen cells that we saw earlier?
I wasn't sure if there was if she was still in here. There's a chance if they've got good queen cells that they'll just, if they don't like her bad enough, they'll ball around her, buzz, make her real hot, and overheat her until she dies. It's called balling. And if they ball her, she's gone. So I want to make sure she's still in here before I tear those cells down. And she is. And thank you for reminding me, because this was the cell that had one.
So you just
Come on. Yeah, so you can just rip it right off. Hive tool makes that a little easier. And you can see there's the jelly, there's a melted pupa in there. And we'll feed the ants.
Oh, that's crazy. Bye!
And, some people collect royal jelly. So they'll actually go in there and scoop that out and put it in a jar and sell it.
Is it good?
I've never tried it.
I read somewhere on the internet once that the queen can get fat and the bees will chase her around until she loses weight. Is that true?
So if they want to swarm, yeah, they will. They'll stop the queen from laying, just a couple of days before they swarm, and they'll chase her around the hive. Get some cardio in.
That's awesome.
So we're good here. This hive is healthy, and they still got a queen. They don't like her, but
So she's doing her job.
she's doing her job, and she's doing it really well. Here, we'll see if you can see it here. If you look closely, you can see her right middle leg is deformed. It's shorter than her left middle leg and doesn't move at all.
How did the other bees get in there?
Because they can fit through the holes. It's called bee space.
That was on
And
purpose then?
yeah, it's designed that way on purpose. So if you catch a queen, you can actually shake the other bees out just so you have the queen. Because you'll reach down there in a group of bees and pull out all the bees with the queen.
So
but do you-
she's not normal, and they're like, oh, we know this, and
Right. Do you see the deformed leg?
yeah, on the right side,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
That's my suspicion of why they don't like her. But she's laying strong. She's good. You can tell that, you know, she's healthy. She's well bred because she's got a long, wide body.
Yeah.
So she's a good, strong queen. Other than that, as far as I can tell, the bees can tell stuff I can't. But I'm assuming it's that leg that they don't like. And so we're gonna just let her out, and she's gonna crawl right down into the hive and get back to work.
What's this for?
That's good wiping it.
That is a brush to keep us from crushing the bees when we put that other box back on.
And they're just like, he's wiping us.
So before we put this back on, we're gonna tear out that other queen cell, save the queen from having to fight that epic battle. Was this frame, right?
I don't remember. I wasn't paying enough attention.
Nope, next one. Yeah, hold a frame. Check it out, have a look.
Oh, there's like different colors of things happening in here. Look at the different colors.
So the wax comes out white, and here, you can each have a frame.
There's like red and like green kind
So
of happening.
that's pollen that they've collected, all the solid stuff. And they collect it, it ferments and turns into what's called bee bread.
Not gonna lie, I'm a little freaked out.
Just a little bit.
Oh,
Other
yeah, it's
side,
on
I
the other
think.
side. I think.
How's that?
Nope. Where was that? There it is.
Here, I'll hold that one. if you want.
Here.
I'm gonna hold it. You can do it, bub.
Stick it, yeah.
Look at you go. You didn't even die.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
So we'll just rip that out. See, she was almost grown too.
Whoa.
So can you like keep that? And,
Yeah, so one way to keep this and raise a new queen, if you wanted to split your hive, for example, and make a new hive out of it, so you have two hives instead of one, you could put a mesh cage over that. And then when she hatched, she'd be stuck in the cage. And then you come back, you grab her, you put her in a mating nuke, and
Start from there. Huh?
and start from there. A mating nuke is a really tiny hive with the sole purpose of the queen mating.
And that's where the drones go to explode.
Well, what will happen is that the queen will go out of there and fly out, and I think it was that one next. She flies around until she finds where the drones congregate. They have their places they like to hang out. And she'll go over there, she'll mate, and then come back to the hive. And she'll do that for about a week or so.
You want me to brush it all?
No, we're good. You slide it on slowly, and it just pushes the bees out of the way. And it's right at the very end that you want to be the most careful, because that's where they get squished. So we put that back on, and as soon as we put the lid back on, almost immediately you'll hear them calm down. And we're going to leave this on. They're not eating a lot right now because there's a whole lot of dandelions blooming. But I want to keep them fed just to accelerate how much they have stored. And if they get enough stored, then we might be able to actually get some actual honey out of them. Otherwise, we won't get honey this year and next year. And that is a beehive inspection.
Wow. Cool. Thank you, Thomas.
And I want to get into that one, but mostly I just want to see how they're doing with building out comb on those cells. That hive hasn't had any trouble. I haven't even opened it in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Because they're just doing really well.
That's cool, Thomas.
Wow.
And you can tell, like, they've already started to calm down. He's like, no, they haven't. They're buzzing around my face right now.
They are buzzing around me. I'm on my head. It's a little bit concerning.
Yeah.
I'm like, whew, I took a deep breath here. It's,
This one's dying in there. They were still...
now I can officially I've been playing on a bee. I've never been today.
Impressive.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that actually hurts. Like it, yeah.
So
See how much you swell up.
you're gonna smell like a campfire, but you'll notice the bees go away.
That's crazy.
It's so
I was
cool.
like, oh, confusing.
Cool.
That was so fun.